Well, after having a very good start to the year, Praj Industries, let's pull up the intraday chart out there. Remember, the stock had given you returns of close to 45% in this year itself. It's still up, mind you, 30% for this year, but that stock has come off the high point of the day. But the reason that the Nifty as well has come off the high is because Reliance Industries has come in for some profit booking. SBI as well is moving lower, and that's why the Nifty Bank now is down closer around 50 points odd. We were told you about Reliance Industries, but Hindusthan Unilever, that stock is going to be in focus on the back of the numbers that are due today. Mangalam, run us through the expectations.
As the case has been in the last many quarters, Hindusthan Unilever goes into this result as well with the stock virtually at a record high. Over the last 2 years, this one's gained almost 115 odd percent. Was expensive then, is expensive now, but the quality of earnings is something that the street will be watching out for. In this quarter, the most important thing that the street will be watching out for is the resurfacing of price-led growth. In terms of volumes, we're expecting 6 to 8% growth come by in the domestic volumes, and plus that we'll have around 3 to 4% price growth, and that is what the street is expecting. So add the volume growth and the price growth, you get a revenue number of close to around 11.5% in terms of growth. The number that the street would be looking for is around that 9,567 crores. After an 11.5% revenue growth, the company is likely to post a higher EBITDA growth, 21%. That would mean a margin expansion of close to 150 to 160 basis points. Why do the margins expand? One, because the company is taking some price hikes. Secondly, the company is on a cost-cutting spree. Thirdly, the product mix itself would lend itself to higher premium products being sold. More importantly, important to see whether the margin trajectory continues into Q4 given softer commodity prices. The profit growth at around 9.5% is what the street is working with. 11.5% revenue growth. Remember, 80% of the company's business is home and personal care and soaps. So all of that together, we're expecting about 10 to 12% growth on the top line out there. Foods business could be an outperformer. It is doing fairly well, so the street expects a growth of about 8 to 10%. In other news, the management commentary on the anti-profiteering case would have been important, but yesterday we got a breather coming in from the Delhi High Court, which has stayed the NAA's order. Apart from that, watch out for the road to integration with GSK Consumer, and at the same time, management's views on competition, raw material, and how rural demand is shaping up.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much.
It's all quiet on the equity market front. If you're looking at the indices, let's then shift focus to commodities and find out what the action is like. Manisha Gupta is joining in with the details. Manisha.
Thank you so much for that, Subriva. Let's talk about metals right now, because in the international markets, we've seen some support, and with nearly 0.25% decline on the Indian rupee versus the US dollar, you have seen those calculations actually work in favor of many of those Indian metals. So while, of course, we have seen the prices continue to gain, but one thing that really catches your eye clearly has been the palladium prices. We have seen a record high of that one, $1,366 per ounce, and that's at much higher premium to what gold prices are trading at just below $1,300 per ounce. Of course, we have seen the prices gain up by 60% since the month of August. You know, when we talk about gold and silver, and of course, those are precious metals, but when you talk about rare precious metals, platinum is next in the list, and even rarer than is palladium. And while, of course, we have seen the industrial demand catch up quite strong, palladium is used as an auto catalyst for the gasoline engines, and the demand has been quite on the higher side, and there has been restrained mining activity. That is what has taken the palladium prices much on the higher side. This is actually the first time in 16 years that you have seen palladium prices take over gold. But we are joined by Dharmesh Bhatia now, who will talk about precious metals and other sectors as well. Dharmesh, hi. Of course, palladium is not traded in the Indian markets as yet. We did see platinum prices trade for some time, but that wasn't such a big success anyways. But in the precious metal prices, what is your sense now? With the kind of gains that we are seeing across sector, do you think it still stands a buy?
For short term, definitely, I think so. The bullion market should rally, especially for the Indian region. The main concern is the rupee. I'm expecting rupee to depreciate around 1.5 rupees from the current level. That will give some support to the domestic market. MCX gold maybe rallying for maybe 200, 250 level from current price. Plus the uncertainty is still hanging around, and if you see internationally, the gold is still trying to breach the major psychological level of $1,300. So uncertainty is still there, and equity market is still jittering. So you can expect as a safe haven buying, and dollar weakness internationally will support the gold price. So I'm a little bullish on the gold and silver.
Dharmesh, also, how are you looking at the base metal prices? Because we've seen quite a bit amount of jitteriness there as well, with China coming out with another big stimulus measure than the previous one. While, of course, that tells you that the cracks in the economy are quite big. But do you see all of that really supporting metal prices for a slightly longer term?
For long term, still it's uncertain, but for short term, definitely this measure will support the price. In COMEX, if you see the copper price is hovering around 260 to 275 for past 3 weeks. And in domestic market also, if you see the M6 copper is trading between 410 to 430, 35 maximum higher side. So range bound movement of 7 to 8% can be seen. But going long will be best because the market is already at a very low price. And all the bad news, still the price is still trading in a flat zone. So any good news will trigger the price, and you can expect at least 8 to 9% rally from the current level.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Manisha, as well as Dharmesh. Well, not too many stocks moving around, but that's the stock we're talking about. Shobha has suddenly spiked up. Big volumes on that one. It's moved up by close to 7 to around 8%. So keep an eye out on that one.